So, when Mr. Larson came over to borrow the large barrel in which to scout his hog in the butchering, she told him to take it. Manly was in town, but she knew he would lend it. In a few minutes, Mr. Larson came back to borrow her wash boiler to heat water to scald the hog. Soon was back again to borrow her butcher knives for the work, and again a little later to get her knife whetstone to sharpen the knives. Grimly, Laura said to herself, if he came next to borrow their fat hog to kill, she would let him have it. But he had a hog on his own. And after all that, he did not bring over a bit of fresh meat, as good neighbors always did. A few days later, Manly butchered his fat hog, and Laura had her first experience making sausage, had cheese, and lard all by herself. Hams and soldiers' spare ribs were frozen in a storm shed, and fat meat was salted down in a small barrel. Laura found doing work alone very different from helping Ma, but it was part of her job and she must do it, though she did hate the smell of the hot lard, and the sight of so much fresh meat ruined her appetite for any of it. It was at this time that the directors of the school were able to pay Laura the salary for the last month she had taught. The money made Laura feel quite rich as she began planning how she should spend it. Manny told her if she bought a colt with it, she would double the money in a short time by selling it when it was grown. So that was what they decided to do, and Manly bought a bay 2-year-old that promised to grow out well. Laura didn't bother to name the colt. It was just to be sold again. So what was the use? But the animal was fed well, brushed, and cared for to make it grow well. One blustery day, Manly started early for town, leaving Laura very much alone. She was used to being the only person on the place and thought nothing of it. But the wind was so cold and raw that she had not opened the front door. It was still locked from the night. In the middle of the morning, busy with her work, Laura looked out the front window and saw a little bunch of horsemen coming across the prairie from the southeast. She wondered why they were not traveling on the road. As they came nearer, she saw there were 5 of them, and they were Indians. Laura had seen Indians often without fear, but she felt a quick jump of her heart as they came up to the house and, without knocking, tried to open the front door. She was glad the door was locked, and she slipped quickly into the back room and locked the outside door there. The Indians came around the house to the back door and tried to open that. Then, seeing Laura through the window, they made signs for her to open the door, indicating that they would not hurt her. But Laura shook her head and told them to go away. Likely they only wanted something to eat, but still one never could tell. It was only 3 years ago that the Indians nearly went on the war path a little way west, and even now they often threatened the railroad camps.